So, Sekiro. I'm sure some of you have already completed it. If not, I really suggest you go play it. Sekiro is an amazing game. I'm not sure if you would call this video a review. It will have some spoilers in it, but I will not discuss story elements too much. I will not discuss all the elements of the game, just the things I like and dislike about the game. So call this whatever you want, but this is just my thoughts about the whole game. So, some background information. The only Dark Souls games I have played are Dark Souls 3 completely. I played that last year on PC with keyboard and mouse, yes. I have started playing Bloodborne on PS4, but that's really hard for me because I have to use a controller. So that's on hold. And first Souls-like game for me was Lords of the Fallen. And I have tried few hours of Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition, but that was a little bit too clunky after Dark Souls 3, so hopefully and maybe perhaps I will go back to that after some time. I don't know. Anyways, Sekiro. Is it harder than Dark Souls? I don't know. I feel like there's few bosses that I got stuck at, but that also happens in Dark Souls 3. In Dark Souls, I got more frustrated with all the bosses. Well, not all, but more bosses. Here it happened with maybe 2 bosses, and most of the time I feel in Sekiro, whenever I die to a boss, it's due to my mistake, and I don't blame the boss for their attack. Sometimes some thrust attacks can be annoying, but that's on me because I'm too shitty to deflect or dodge them away, so I just go on and learn from my mistakes and everything will be okay after some time. By the way, the gameplay you see in the background is from New Game Plus, nothing spectacular. I didn't really want to include too much spoilery stuff on the background. It will have something from the mid game, early game, something like that. But let's talk about Sekiro. The combat, it is different from Dark Souls, and it is extremely satisfying. Deflecting, dodging, jumping. I have to say though, I don't dodge in this game too much. I jump though, a lot. Maybe it's because the jumping is in the same key as Dark Souls 3 had the dodge button, so I'm just used to pressing and pressing that, spamming the same button over and over again. And perhaps that's not so good thing, and maybe that's why beating the game took me 55 hours. Yeah, it took me 55 fucking hours to beat the game, and this was with the Shura ending. And the Shura ending is a shorter ending, which cuts a lot of the game away, and you can't finish that in the same playthrough. And yeah, it took me 55 hours. Did I enjoy the game? Absolutely. Was I frustrated? A little bit sometimes, but it is so satisfying to beat the boss you've been struggling to get. Namely talking about Ishin Asuna. Yeah, it took me something like 12 hours to beat the game. I read online somebody takes 2-3 hours to beat one boss, and I'm like, yeah, hey, it took me over 10 hours to beat this one. It took me probably like over 4 hours to beat the monkey, headless ape. Oops. I'm not so good at the game, but I still enjoy and absolutely love the game. Stealth is a new element, a little bit different. I would say it's comparable to Dark Souls and having a bigger group of enemies, luring one enemy away. And here in Sekiro, you are replacing that with backstabs and killing one enemy, running away, coming back to enemies that don't know you're there, killing one and going back. That's what I do. Take them down one by one. Maybe that's cheesing a little bit, not experiencing the combat as intended. I don't know. It is an option the game allows me to have, and I'm taking that option because it makes the game a little bit easier for me. And as I earlier mentioned earlier, I played Dark Souls 3 with keyboard and mouse, and same here. I played Sekiro completely with keyboard and mouse. At the beginning I was like, this doesn't have keyboard inputs because Dark Souls 3 didn't have. And then after 20 or 30 hours my friend told me, yes it does. And well, there it was. You had to manually enable it in the settings. But no worries. The PC port or port version for keyboard and mouse is actually the best that From Software game has ever been. In Dark Souls 3 it worked okay. Some of the controls were a little weird. You had to press multiple buttons at the same time to achieve something, hold or press shortly. Sekiro PC controls for keyboard and mouse are much closer to something like a normal third-person action game, and it works fine. Dark Souls 3 had a weird mouse sense. It was super fast, but you got used to it. Sekiro is, once again, no complaining there. Sekiro also introduces this resurrection mechanic, which allows you to, well, as the game name says, shadows die twice. You can die and come back to life and try again. Many were concerned that this would make the game easier, but I don't think Sekiro is too easy. Some say it's harder, some say it's easier than Dark Souls. I'm on the middle, I don't know. It took me a long time to beat this game, but it took me a long time to beat Dark Souls as well. I feel like in Sekiro I got stuck to bosses more, and in Dark Souls I just got stuck to basic enemies, but that was because Dark Souls 3 was my first game like that, pretty much. In here, the gameplay is different, but I know what From Software is trying to do, and I kinda can avoid some things and be a little bit more careful around others. So Resurrection is something different. It doesn't make the game too easy, the game is balanced around it. And as I said, I will not be talking too much about the story, but the story is made a little bit easier to follow than Dark Souls. There's more cinematics, the people talk more, the messages are not as cryptic, and cutscenes, there's, well, Dark Souls had some, but there's more here. The story is easier to follow, but I feel like there's not as much to explore after that. The world isn't as filled with the lore as Dark Souls is. Whether you think that's a negative thing or a positive thing, that's up to you. There's still something. I'm sure I will go watch some lore videos like I did with Dark Souls. After I've completed the game, I'm now on New Game Plus trying to get the other ending, so I can experience the bosses I'm missing. But I'm sure many people enjoy this approach more, so they can understand at least something about the story. But it's not too much on your face. If you just want to play the game, you can skip around all the cutscenes and so on, especially if you're speedrunning and so on. No forced cutscene watching here, which is nice for replaying. And again, From Software, the game's level design, it's absolutely stunningly beautiful. Levels are so well designed, it's amazing. You can see the other areas you have visited in the distance and other places you haven't on the background. Amazing. Some neutrals, I would say, about the game. The soundtrack is pretty good, but it comes nowhere close to the amazing soundtrack that Dark Souls games have. It just isn't something to remember. There are a few good tracks, but otherwise it isn't just the same thing. I don't know. As I said, I suck at the game, that's one neutral thing, but I still enjoyed it a lot. The skill trees are a little bit different. Now, well, there wasn't skill tree before. Now you just straight away unlock skills, unlike in Dark Souls where you unlock skill points to attributes and so on. So that's kinda on the other side of things. It could be positive for you if you don't like messing around with your stats so much and just wanna upgrade your character straight away. There is an option now for that, well, the only option. So it's different from Dark Souls games. I was thinking this game wouldn't be too deep, because I was actually afraid this game wasn't gonna be too deep. I was gonna think it's like 12 to 20 hours. Well, here we are with 60 hours in the game. I'm still going, so it is definitely deep. Maybe not as deep as Dark Souls, but there is a lot to explore here. Some minuses, I would say. I'm sure there's few things, bonuses, minuses, neutrals that I didn't say here. I just wrote down some headlines to a notepad document and I'm reading from there what I think about it. I think there's something I'm missing, but these are the main points. Whenever you are going around the world, especially whenever you're swimming, there's few invisible walls that could have been kinda easily avoidable. So I don't know what happened there. Kinda weird, but those are really few and far between, so not a big complaint, just found a little bit weird to find invisible walls here. The crabble, your grappling hook, is a little bit inconsistent sometimes, and I'm not sure how that could be fixed. Most of the time it's alright, but it is always set points It always set points, so sometimes you are going to be jumping in the different locations where you want to jump, and it's kind of hard to choose from them. It always tends to guide you towards one place, and then you have to jump around. The biggest complaint I and most people have is the playstyle. This game forces you to use a certain playstyle. Dark Souls has different builds. You can be many different characters, play different playstyles. Here you are forced to play a certain playstyle. I mean, there is the option to go for health damage on bosses. I mean, I did early game quite a bit before I learned to deflect a little bit better. Just get a health damage, back away, get a health damage, kind of like the Dark Souls poking the enemy style. But I am one of the people who enjoys this play style, so I enjoyed the game a lot. But I've heard that many people who like Dark Souls, love Dark Souls Bloodborne, don't enjoy the game, and maybe the biggest reason is because it forces you to play with a certain play style. And I'm sad, because Sekiro is an amazing game, and I hope everybody who loves Dark Souls would love this game as well. But it is not for everyone. The playstyle is a little bit restrictive. But yeah, I think that's basically everything I have to say about Sekiro right now. Whether you consider this a review or not, it will not cover all the elements of the game, just some thoughts. But Sekiro is an absolutely amazing game, and I was afraid it wouldn't have enough content for a $60 game, €60 game, because I do not purchase games full price like almost ever. I can't remember any other time I've purchased a game full price than Sekiro, a €60 game, and I do not regret it one bit. It's an amazing game. If you like Dark Souls, and if you like action games, if you like any video games, go try Sekiro, and I hope you would like it as much as I do. Anyways, hope you guys are having a good day. I'll see you on my next video. Master Indigo, signing out.